Hello, everyone. Welcome to their Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by the fantastic Carton. Kevin specializes in helping people to live their soul's purpose, which is a phenomenal gift and talent. He is also a speaker, teacher, and transformational life coach who has spoken on the stages in front of thousands of people. He also has a weekly podcast that he shares with his co-host brother, Chris Carton. I'm so excited. I'm already stumbling over the words. Science and Spirituality, which, believe it or not, has over 1 million downloads, which is phenomenal. Kevin's workshops and coaching programs have helped hundreds of people break through limitations and achieve greater results that they've never known before. Kevin, thank you so much for being on this podcast today. I am so grateful that you are here. A lot of my listeners are really keyed into soul's purpose. So this is probably going to be the entire topic that we talk about this entire show. So first and foremost, how did you kind of figure out what your soul purpose was?
Oh, it's been an unfolding process for almost a decade now. And it's an interesting thing that it I didn't find it found me.
Oh,
I'll start with that.
100%.
That's I think how it generally happens. You
Yeah.
may be someone who's looking for it, and that's a sign of a really great soul. But I was more so of it was a pit of despair first.
Oh, wow.
So it started off with me and my previous career path, which was pharmacy.
Yeah.
So I chose that career path because I love science. I still do. Heck, my podcast is literally called Science and Spirituality. But I chose that path a lot of meaning because seeing the career that
Yeah.
I could have, the income. And
Yeah.
yes, I did want to help people, but at 17 years old, I was like, yep, that sounds great. I can make six figures after I get my doctorate. So it's prestigious, a lot of like, oh, what would people think of me? They would think highly of me, all that. But I found 4 years later that I was struggling with anxiety and depression
Wow.
while I was in school. And a big part of it is because I started working in a community pharmacy and I saw the
Right.
same people coming back again and again and again for the same issue.
Yeah.
And I felt like over time that we were just treating symptoms with the medications we
Absolutely.
were dispensing. And
Hmm.
so I started to feel lost. And it was gradually week after week, month after month, that until finally a point of no return where I was like, this is not for me.
Hmm.
This is not my purpose. I don't even know what my purpose is, but I cannot stay here. Otherwise, my soul, my heart is going to be crushed.
Oh,
So it started with that, and it was a difficult decision to leave. And my parents didn't really support. They didn't understand why. None of my friends understood. They thought I was crazy for wanting to leave because again, it was a really good career path, still
absolutely.
is. But I finally, after my 4 years, out of a 6-year-long doctorate, I said no, I'm done, which is
That's
a
a
really
long
scary,
time
uncertain,
in
but
school.
yeah, it was a bold decision, but it changed my life forever. And like I said, it wasn't that I found my purpose, it found me. 2 days later, I got connected with my mentor, who I've now worked with for now almost 9 years at the recording
Wow.
of this
Yeah.
podcast episode. So it's been an incredible journey, but I really am a big believer in finding a mentor, a coach, someone who can
Absolutely.
support you and uncovering the layers of what your purpose is. Because I believe personally, every single human being on this planet has a purpose.
Absolutely.
Every single one of us, because we are souls incarnated into this human experience for a reason, especially at this time in human history. We all have a purpose here. And so that discovery process is like I said, an unfolding, kind of like a flower blooming. It's an ever unfolding process that over time you start to get to know more and more. But like I said, it found me, and I believe now I'm here for a very particular reason and to help people in unfolding in their own soul's purpose.
And would you say that part of the discovery and kind of unfolding your soul's purpose is just as joyous as finding out what your soul's purpose is?
Yes, I would say it's even more of a joy of a process of the unfolding of what
Hmm.
the purpose is rather than finding it.
Yeah.
Because that's one paradigm, a limiting paradigm, I think, that I've seen with a lot of people when they hear the word purpose, especially what it's my soul's purpose, like what's my mission here? It could be this daunting thing and it feels like it has to be like one specific thing. And I think it comes from programming from us when we were younger, of our parents, teachers, society at whole saying, what are you gonna be when you grow up?
Mm.
And it's got to be this one answer. Like, I'm going to be the doctor. I'm going to be the lawyer. I'm going to be the president. Like, as if our whole soul's purpose is boiled down to one thing. It's not. It really, the joy, like you said, I think that's why you asked the question. The real joy of living into a purpose is the unfolding of that and discovery process. And it's like I found over time, it's like unpacking a present. It's like opening up a gift every day because it's always something new in different shapes and forms.
I love that. That is such a good explanation for that. And you are so right. When, like, I have a son, he's currently in eighth grade. And right now, I mean, they're so fixated on what do you want to go to college for? What do you want to do? And he comes home and he's frustrated and he's like, Mom, I don't know what I want to do. And that's okay. Give you space to be yourself and do what you want to do. But like you had expectations and people like, well, Kevin, this is what you should do. And I had the same thing. My parents reached out to me and they're like, I think you should be a nurse. Guess what, guys? I'm a nurse,
Mm,
and I kind of felt like it was forced upon me. And I think now, like you said, everyone's going through this massive awakening. I know that you probably feel this now too, and you probably see it with your listeners and with your clients. And probably a lot of people are coming to you now like, wow, there's this lot of energy inside of me, and I'm not quite sure what this is. And they might drill it down to, well, what's my soul's purpose? Are you finding that now with probably your clients and your listeners?
1,000%. And I think it's really exciting to see this because as you mentioned, my podcast with my brother,
Yeah.
we've run it for now almost 4 years, and we just
Wow.
passed 1 million downloads after 174 episodes out, under maybe up to 176. I don't know the exact number. I'm
Like a
forgetting,
lot.
but a lot. And it's brilliant to see out of all of our listeners, the majority of people who are listening, and I think it's
Yeah.
because me and my brother are young. Like I'm 30, my brother's 32, soon to be 32. So we're young, so we
Right.
tend to attract younger people. But people I talk with, they say they're searching for this. They
Yes,
literally
they
search
are.
up science and spirituality or purpose.
Mhm.
And that's how they find our podcast. And 70% of our listeners are ages 18 to 35.
That's perfect. I mean,
It's amazing.
people, younger people right now, and I also feel like there's a turning away. I mean, I'm older, I'm in my 40s, and I will say that when I was growing up, it was such a push to go to college, get a 4-year degree, find do, work 9 to 5, marry, life, kids. And
Mm,
now I bet you're finding that people are turning away from that and they're kind of digging into, well, I want to do what makes me happy and I want to do what makes me fulfilled, not what you're telling me to do and what society tells me to do.
yep, that's exactly it. And I think yeah, it's a big part of because of how interconnected our world is now with social
Absolutely.
media, which it has its drawbacks. But I think
Doesn't
the
it?
the the gift within what has been now like the last decade of social media and interconnectivity, and you can find so many things online and the internet. The gift is that we're seeing so many different possibilities, and
Yeah.
then those possibilities are actually sparking within us. Like, ooh, that actually is something I want, rather
Right.
than what do I think I should do. So it's brilliant, I think.
And I'm sure you also see the double-edged sword that
Yes,
people have, like you were kind of going through this moment in your life where you're like, I don't feel fulfilled, and I know this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think sometimes we look on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're on, and you're like, well, some might go into the hole of, despair.
of
Others
course.
might go into the rise above and try to seek out somebody like yourself.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you this question. What exactly is a transformational life coach?
Oh, great question. Yeah, because it can be like, wait, what is
Like,
that at
yes.
all? Yeah, I mean, when I got trained, because I got certified by my mentor's company, went
Yeah.
through a whole year training to become a
Wow.
certified transformational life coach. One of the funny things that they shared, and it's so true though, that if you would have asked someone or said like I'm a coach and
Yeah.
said that to someone like 30 years ago, they would say what sport? And so,
100%. Yep.
so like,
Absolutely.
what's a transformational life coach? So at its core, I am a coach a transformational life coach is
Mhm.
someone who can help draw out from within you what is your unique essence, like what you are about. It's beyond programming. It's beyond the layers of should or should not that we've
Right.
gained from our parents, from society, from I mean this whole world at large, to really get to the core of what your heart desires.
Right.
That's really the work. And a transformational life coach, like I've gotten trained to where I can help people in any part of their life, in their health, their relationships, their work, or their time, money, freedom. But I personally have now discovered,
Yeah.
because that my purpose is like, it's to help people with their own soul's purpose. And that tends to be in their work, in
Yeah.
that quadrant of their life. But yeah, transformational life coaching is to transform, to go beyond the old form of life to a whole new, more expanded version of
Right.
life that you would love to live. So, in a very quick, short nutshell, that's what a transformational life coach does.
And I love the fact that you had a year of training. Like you
Yeah.
didn't just, pull out a book and then all of
Nope.
a sudden you're like, guess what, guys? You had a lot of training, which I think also is important for somebody that may be seeking out a
Yes.
life coach, a
Yes.
mentor. It's important to kind of look at somebody's education and what skill set they actually have. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, it started to get more popular in the last couple of years. And I literally got ads because, heck, I'm a coach myself, got trained, and it's been now almost 6 years since I've
Wow.
gotten trained, worked with hundreds of clients.
Yeah.
But it kind of sometimes it used to trigger me, but now I see it for what it is, and just
Yeah.
like it is what it is. But I've seen certifications like ads on Instagram. It's like become a life coach, just
Yes.
$25. It's like, are
Yes.
you kidding me?
Yes.
And it's a disservice in two levels. Number one, it's a disservice to the person who's going to invest in that. It's
Absolutely.
like, that's not enough. It
Hmm.
really is not enough to actually go deep into what it really means to be a true professional in this industry, to
Exactly.
support people. And then the second level is like, gosh, like the people that you're going to help or try to help at that level, like they're going to be completely in a disservice
Hmm.
state as well, because there's not a level of um, knowing
Right.
on your end to really support the kind of journey that they have to go on if they're really going to help them transform their life.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, like finding your soul's purpose. Yes, I know it can be something that maybe is simple, like just being a healer, but it
Mm,
is a very powerful thing to like you said, extract the essence of one's being and their essence of, yes, Rachel, this is your beauty within, and let me show you how to expand your life, become more expansive so that all facets are so much more enjoyable. You live a life of peace, freedom, and joy. And then like you said, if somebody just gets a $25 certificate, I can't even say it, certificate, it's kind of like, yeah, you're right. It is a disservice
question that.
to, yeah, it's sad almost,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
think of it in this way. If anyone's listening, it's like,
Sure.
okay, like I want to do some research to actually find a good coach or to
Yeah.
become a coach themselves if they feel like that's their purpose.
Hmm.
Really do your due diligence in finding a place that has got a track record,
Yeah.
who has got tools and
Hmm.
support and deep training.
Hmm.
I liken it to college, a
Absolutely.
degree, a master's, a professional
Mhm.
degree. And I personally, the institute I trained with, which is called Brave Thinking Institute,
Mhm.
the investment was just like college.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Like it was a significant investment of
Yeah.
time, energy, and money. But look at what has brought me in the last, now
Right.
5 years, 5.5 years. So
Well,
it's
and
so
there's
important.
something to be said of a financial investment. Then you put
Yes.
teeth in the game.
Hmm.
Then you're really going to commit to what you're actually learning and what you're actually training to do.
Yep.
When you back up the finances behind it, because same with myself. When I became an Akashic record practitioner, I made sure to seek out somebody that one made us practice a lot and had a very solid program. I don't want to just read the book and say, well, this is how you do it.
Right.
So I'm grateful that you've actually gone through all of this training and all of, because then I would imagine you've had some powerful sessions with your clients. Is there any, like, if you can share one like amazing moment that you had with a client that you're like, yes, this is exactly what I meant to do?
Yeah, I'll share one. One of my clients who I've worked with for it was 2.5 years that we worked together. We don't work together anymore, but
Mhm.
I think there's a good reason why, because we got to a great place. But she was one of my VIP clients that I
I
worked
love it.
with for a year at a time. Then she signed up for a second year. Her work in the world at the time was a consultant, a sales trainer, very corporate, but she actually just had recently, when we first started working together, started working for a woman who was a coach and supported dozens of women at a time in growing their relationships, attracting the love of their life. So she had a great practice already.
Wow.
And when we talked about her purpose, it wasn't just one session. It never is,
Oh
really, because
no.
like I said, an unfolding process. It takes time. And actually, the minimum of time I work with someone is 3 months. But
Thank you
anyway,
for
like I
saying that.
said,
I wanted to know that. Perfect.
yeah, like, and I think it's a disservice if I work with someone who, with especially with the particular work I do,
Of
if
course.
it's just one session, I'm like, nope. If you want to work with me, it's longer because it's a
Yeah.
longer process
Hmm.
always to really uncover and unfold the purpose.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this woman, she had a brilliant purpose that she felt. It wasn't just her work because she did find purpose in her work,
Yeah.
but it was actually for her son who had and still does deal with a significant life challenge. He's an adopted son of
Yeah.
hers, and he deals, I forget the title of the exact disease, but it's
Mhm.
something that is like super, super rare. Like 0.001% of the population has. It's life threatening, but
Wow.
there's new research that's coming out about how this can be worked on and
Hmm.
healed. And her dream, her real purpose, she felt, was to start a foundation to help her son and get the research not only for
Yeah.
others, but also for her son to help in working through that. And so she was scared. It's like, who am I to, like, the doctors are already doing this kind of research, like,
Yeah.
like, and also who am I going to talk to actually like get this funded? And so I helped work her through that. And it was only like maybe in the first like 3 to 6 months that she started to really claim is like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do here.
Hmm.
She started her nonprofit foundation. And in the first month, her goal for a year was like 100 to generate a
Yeah.
$100,000, bring that in to, give to
Right.
research. In her first month, she attracted some partners and that would invest and give her funding 20 grand in the first 30
I have
days,
chills. I have chills.
just like that. And things like that happen. I mean, I could tell story after
Yeah.
story of that, but the unfolding happens because here's the key. And I really want to give this because this is for all of us. That is why purpose work is so powerful,
Hmm.
because life itself, not just you as an individual, but life wants more life by means of itself. And we are an integral part of living.
Yes.
You can call this life God, source,
Hmm.
spirit, the infinite universe. There's so many different labels and many different traditions, many different religions,
Right.
but there is a one power, one presence, one energy. Science is now discovering this and calling it the unified field. It's a
Yes.
unified field theory, but
Hmm.
one energy,
Right.
whatever label you want to put on it, there's this energy, this life that wants more.
Yes.
That's what life has always been doing since the dawn of time, the Big Bang. Everything's been expanding. And so we want that expansion. That's your purpose. And when you align with that, spirit is going to follow up with that with brilliant magic, synchronicities, support, opportunity, just so many amazing things that you can't even imagine right now.
It's almost like lining up the dominoes, and once you hit it and you hit the jackpot, everything just goes. And
Yes.
that energy opens up and it expands. And for me and some of the work that I do, I'm all about like cellular tissue. And I would imagine when you hit that and you know it, and you're helping, like you said, people to unfold that, it almost puts beacons of light inside of them. And then
Yes.
it's like, yes, here come. That's amazing. I love
Exactly.
that. What a powerful story.
Thank
So,
you.
and I also appreciate the fact that you're right. Finding your soul's purpose is not a one and done session. You're not
Yep.
going to just be on a call with Rachel today and say, well, Rachel, this is your soul's purpose. I need to believe it. I need to
Mm,
really feel it within my bone, my body, my soul, and truly, like, yes, and own it. Like you helped her to own it, to actually be able to speak it out loud and to say, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. And it takes, you said, a 3 month package, and then you can go out to 6 months, a year, whatever you need.
right. Yeah.
Perfect.
100%.
What is that average client like? They average like maybe work with you for like 3 months or a year?
Yeah. Yeah,
Perfect.
it's 3 months. And this is honestly my own process of
Yeah.
unfolding my own purpose. And just the last year, I now have offered a 1 year structure of support, not for VIP clients, but for people who want to have a group setting,
Yeah.
go through a master's class with me in unfolding their own purpose. So it's generally now more for a year. Like I have 13 of my clients in that year-long process, but yeah, it starts off with usually 3 months, but especially if someone's really like lit up on with their purpose and it's like, all right, I'm ready, I want to move
Mhm.
forward on this and take the steps, which could be scary,
Yeah.
uncertain. There's some of the fear that might come up. That's why we want more support and structure around ourselves so that it can be easier and easier process.
And with that 1 year program, is that an always open that you can
Yeah,
go into? And then you kind of have your veteran clients that are going to rally the newer people. Okay. I love that.
exactly. Yeah, it's a beautiful community that we've been creating, and it's support. I mean, obviously, from me and
Hmm.
going through a structured process to learn the different things that will align you with what I call the laws of the universe.
Mhm.
Just like the law of electricity, it works if you work it. There's laws of the universe that are within us, like
Yes.
law of specificity, law of attraction, a lot of people know of, but
Yeah.
there's other laws, like my favorite, the law of non-resistance, to allow things to flow. Like there's a lot of things we work through. And then yes, like there's like coaching calls, community support from others that along this process. And a lot of times, like you might not have a question, but some of my clients like just come to those calls because they love to hear people's stories and their shares and what's
Yeah.
going on for them.
Well, there's power in shared experiences. There's
Right.
power in some people may not feel comfortable and kind of talking about, hey, I just had this amazing session. And once somebody else hits on it, it also gives them healing and power then to speak up, you
Yes,
know, because if
exactly.
there's power in numbers and power in shared experiences. And I actually, I also appreciate the fact that you're bringing up the spiritual laws, because we focus just on law of attraction, but there's a lot of other spiritual laws that we need to jump into.
Yes, 100%.
Which sounds like
Which
you go through that with your training.
I do, yeah. And in fact, through my training as a coach, as a
Yeah.
certified coach through my mentor's company,
Mhm.
she has a program that I can offer to my clients. It's called Working with the Law, and it's a program. So my mentor, her name is Mary Morrissey,
Oh,
and
I love
she
Mary Morrissey.
oh, that's amazing. There we go. So I've been working with her for 9 years now. In fact, I just spent the last 5 days at the recording of this. I spent the last 5 days in San Diego with her and her team.
I
And
love that.
yeah, and so she if you know her story, she's was very close friends with Bob Proctor when he
Yeah.
was living. He passed away last year, but her and him created a program together called Working with the Law. It's another
Mhm.
3 month structure support, and it's a process to go through of studying the 11 universal
Mhm.
laws that are at work, whether we realize it or not. Just like the law of
Exactly.
gravity, the law of gravity is
Exactly.
working whether we realize it or not, or consciously or unconsciously,
Mhm.
but it's working. So we got these 11 laws we can go into. The law of attraction is one of the 11.
Right. Oh, I love that. Working with the law. Woo.
Yes, it's so powerful.
It's not trouble, guys. I'm sorry. So tell me a little bit about the workshops that you run.
I'd love to share. And thank you for asking. I really appreciate that. Recently, I've been, this is another unfolding of my purpose. Recently, in the last handful of months, I've started to host a 1 day virtual event
Ooh,
called Soul Builder Live.
love
And
that.
it's a full day from 9 to 5 Mountain Time. So good 7 hours of training with lunch break or meal break, and then
Mhm.
some breaks in between the hour session, that this few hour sessions. But it's a way of going through a certain process to help first discover what is your dream, what is your purpose, what would you love in your life, and starting to work with what I call soul tools to
Ooh.
help you access the infinite side of your nature. In other words, your spiritual nature, who
Mhm.
you really are. And so this process we go through is brilliant. I learned it from my mentor. Go
Mhm.
through a phenomenal exercise called time machine to get beyond what we might consider as condition or the circumstances of our life to truly dream. Like, what would we
Love
really
that.
love that's in line with our purpose? And to really get connected with that state in this present moment. Because
Mhm.
actually, Rachel, before we hit record, you said something about there is no time. Like time is just a human construct,
Yep.
100%. So we actually work with that in Soul Builder Live. And so I host that event right now as 3 times a year
Oh,
virtually.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
When's the next one coming up?
The next one is a great question. I just hosted the last one the end of February,
Mhm.
and the next one I'm looking at there early June.
Early
So
June.
if anyone wants to hear about it or look into it,
Yeah.
the website soulbuilderlive.com will always be live and have the most updated information. Right now, it's still showing February, but I will be updating it in the next couple of weeks
Perfect.
of for the next event. And but I'm actually might be hosting the next event here in Denver, Colorado. But
Yes.
still to be seen. I've not hosted that event in person yet, but virtually it's been great. Had a couple dozen people join each time. The 2 times I have
Yeah.
hosted it, and it was really powerful.
That's amazing. Any other workshops that you teach?
So I have another workshop that's recorded.
Sure.
It's called Quantum Visualization and the magic power of quantum visualization. And I don't remember the exact URL for that, but
Mhm.
I'll give the
Yeah.
URL for that to you, Rachel.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
that's an hour training where I go through just that one specific process I was speaking about before, time machine,
Yeah.
and that I call quantum visualizations because it's a way of going beyond physical form to access this quantum field that again that you can call energy, you can call spirit, you can call
Mhm.
source, but it's a way again of connecting with a vision or your purpose that's beyond what might be
Yeah.
conditioned within you. So
I love
that's
that.
another training I have, but
It's
it's an
almost
hour.
like a supercharged vision board.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Which there is, I find, I've only worked with vision boards like once or twice in my life
Mhm.
before I got trained or studied with Mary
Yeah.
first for 4 years, 5 years, and then got trained by her as a coach.
Yeah.
Um, Before that, I used to work with vision boards, but I find the vision boards like they're helpful, very, very helpful, especially if you're a visual kind of person and see
Yeah.
images. But I find personally for me that they can be limited because you have to go find the image
Yep.
online or someone else has had to create it
Mhm.
versus what I work with my clients is a vision statement, which comes
Ooh.
from the visualization exercise of time machine, where you're imagining it's all worked out 3 years from now. You're living a life that you love. What would you love? Like, what's the life you would love to live? And what's the images? What are the images that pop in your mind? You might have an idea that has never been seen before in your own reality or even reality in
Right.
general. Like my favorite example, the Wright brothers. If they had created a vision board of a flying machine, guess what? It's never been created before. So how could they have it on the vision board? It's impossible. And you know, there was some forms of what a flying machine could look like, but if they use that as their vision board,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have discovered the actual way in which you can have a powered flying machine. So I like to have that as like a really primary example, but it's a little more simple in our own lives. But
No,
again, it's
that's a
good, but
that's a
yeah.
beautiful analogy. I mean, I will say with the work that I do, I always like to say if we had no limitations, what is it that you would like to do? What if your money, time,
Yes.
energy was not a constraint? What do you want to do? And then I like you, I like to throw it out. No, let's go beyond this vision, go beyond and beyond and beyond. And with doing, like you said, quantum visualization, I am not talking well today is a
It's okay.
phenomenal thing. When you work all day at a doctor's office and you have to talk diplomatically and appropriately, and then when you start, I'm like, Rachel can't speak. Sorry.
Right. That's okay.
He's like, I forgive you. I forgive you. I love it. Anything else that you want to talk about? Actually, tell me a little bit about your podcast, Science and
Yes.
Spirituality.
Oh, I'd be happy to share. My brother and I started the podcast back in 2019,
Mhm.
and it was a crazy idea for us, but we felt called to it. We had a vision, and we actually had two other podcasts before that. Just didn't stick. Like
Yeah.
we weren't consistent with it. We closed it down after like 3, 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But science and spirituality both lit both of us up because my brother is trained in traditional Chinese medicine. He's an acupuncturist. He doesn't
Ooh.
do that as a full time practice right now. He's an accountant, but he loves the scientific side of things. I do too, but I'm more on the spiritual side of things
Mhm.
by at this point in my life. So we come together in this beautiful synergy of having conversations. Like a lot of our episodes, like probably about half, maybe more than half
Yeah.
episodes are just me and him of having conversations. And that's actually why we started the podcast because I'm super close to my brother. He's a little older than me, like a year and a half older. And we've been best friends ever since I was born. And so like we would have conversations just on the phone or on video chat because he lives in North Carolina. I live in
Oh,
Colorado
wow.
now, and we would just be talking about these
Yes.
certain things, and we would just have these ideas like, why don't we just put out like record these conversations and put it out
Absolutely.
there, And so that's been the journey now in the last 4+ years or almost 4 years, but we've also had brilliant time interviewing incredible guests, and just it's been amazing to have
Awesome.
this work out in the world, and now it's just making such a great impact in the world. We just are so grateful and blessed to have this.
I like that he's trained in acupuncture because all of the meridians and with the body, and then to bring in the numbers of being an accountant, I would imagine it's some very interesting conversations.
Yes. Yeah, and I've been realizing this more and more as I listen back to some of our episodes where we're interviewing people.
Yeah.
I'm not putting myself down here. Like I know I'm a good interviewer. I ask good questions, but my brother is, I think, a better interviewer than I am. And he asks the most pointed, specific, really powerful questions to
Yeah.
draw out some amazing information and insight from our guests. Even myself too. Like, what if we're just recording ourselves? Like, he'll ask me a question. I'm like, oh shoot, like that's a good question. So he's been awesome.
That is perfect. And that's available on all podcasts.
Yes, most of our listeners are on Spotify, but
Mhm.
you just search science and spirituality on Spotify, you'll find it. But yeah, Apple, Google, and a
Everywhere.
couple other podcast platforms, but those are the main ones.
That is perfect. And tell us a little bit about your guidebook, The Soul Purpose Blueprint. That will be a free gift for our listeners.
Thank you for asking. So this is the first step into my world, I'll say. It's a simple guidebook. It's about 11 pages now. I'm going to be doing some updates on it soon,
Mhm.
but It's a simple process of going through. I first share of like, well, what do you need to really live your purpose? And it's not about asking, what do you think you should do? Or what am I good at right now? It's about going deeper, like we've been talking about going beyond conditions and
Yeah.
asking, what would I love? What would I really resonate with? And a lot of people, when they come to thinking about what's my purpose, they get stuck in the what should I do? It's the
Ooh,
action first
yes.
versus going deeper with who do I need to be
Mm,
to actually live my purpose? There's a beingness that comes first. And for one of the first steps in the guidebook. But then we go into a process of how do you uncover what's your real dream?
yeah.
And then my process I walk through every single one of my clients through is the process of writing out your vision statement, like we were talking about
Yeah.
before, that you are allowed to give images and write them down of what
Yeah.
you see in your mind of what you would love. And there's actually a space to write out in a format that I guide people into in that guidebook.
I think that is phenomenal. Who do I need to be before I need to go into action? And then I'm going to ask you
Yes.
this question. Do you feel that universe, source, divine, they take care of the how? You just
Yes.
need to figure out the be and you need to throw it out to the universe.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the starting process. And a lot of us need that reframe or that paradigm shift because it's so easy with our Western brain, the logical, like of you need to figure it out. You know, what are all the steps I need to do? Like if I asked myself that, I started my coaching business when I was 24. It was ridiculous. Like a part of me was like, oh, I'm too young, or like, who am I to? And even
Oh
though I had a year long
man,
of training, like
imposter syndrome.
exactly. But I was guided by my vision,
Yeah.
not what should I do or what's the whole process? How am I going to build this
Yeah.
business? How am I going to reach people from all around the world? Like
Yeah.
if I had stayed stuck in that, which it was stuckness of feeling like, how am I going to do it all? I would not be here talking with you. So
And
getting
that's
past the how.
perfect. A vision statement. That is a beautiful, as we always are asked, well, what's your mission statement with your, being an entrepreneur? What's your mission statement? But to drill it down to yourself, what's your vision
Hmm.
statement? That's very
Yeah.
powerful.
And actually, I'm glad you actually just said that because just to clarify, when I say vision statement, I've heard it actually get a little bit confused before because
Sure.
then like people have the idea of like, oh, well, mission statement. So I think it's this one sentence.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, it
Yeah,
sounds like it's like a scroll.
yeah. My vision statement, my full vision statement for 3 years from now is like 4 or 5 pages. I get into detail. And then I have right here, it's a laminated version of what my mentor has lovingly called a travel size vision statement, where it's
I
a
love that.
boiled down energetic blueprint so that I can read this every day. It just
Yeah.
takes 2 minutes to read each of these quadrants of my life and what it's like when it's all worked out. And it's a really great energetic supplement to generate the beingness of it all working out.
And I think that brings in another point of, part of it does come to belief and kind
Yes.
of energetically aligning yourself to that vision and really expanding it out. And one of the things that I like to say to all of my clients is God doesn't put these desires in your heart unless they weren't meant to come true. So
Yes.
then it's always, let's come on, let's pull it out, let's extract it out. And I think it is phenomenal that you've got it laminated in a guide. And I will say that I have a journal along. I always write out my reality and I try to write it out quite frequently. And I like to throw it
Mm,
out 4 or 5 years of, okay, yeah, I know I'm stuck. I mean, minutia. Sometimes we get stuck in a tunnel vision, but then to look at this and say, all right, and then it's God, what's my next divine aligned action to take,
yep.
because then we get into the action. We get stuck in stillness. We get stuck like for a while there before you found your purpose, and then now it's driving you forward, which is
Yes.
amazing. And now you're also able to, when people book sessions with you, they're able to kind of, all right, let's lay it out on the table and let's get you moving to where you have this amazing, I'm going to say this again, like you said, expansion life like that. I always like, what is that? He's a real estate agent, and he's like, expansion in all ways, in all forms. And he says that, but it stuck with me because I'm like, that's how I want my life to be. I want
Mm,
expansion in all ways, in all forms,
yes.
except for maybe my body.
Sure. Right. Yeah. But I mean, expanded energy.
Expanding energy, yeah, because
Yeah.
we're expanding out. So before we wrap up, do you have any piece of advice for any of the listeners that are kind of going through this awakening journey, that or maybe
Mm,
they're actually asking themselves, what is my soul's purpose? What is a piece of advice you can give to them?
1000% get support. I could not be where I'm at today if I did not have the brilliant coaches,
Yeah.
mentor, mainly one mentor, but I've had other coaches along the way, but people supporting me. Heck, I've even gone through therapy, but like having someone alongside with you is, I think, integral to the process. We cannot do this alone. In fact, this is really interesting quote. I forget who says this, but we cannot do it alone, but we must take the steps on our own. Like, in other words,
Ooh.
no one can take your steps for you
True.
to start living your purpose, to
Mhm.
really give your gift to the world. Like, no, my mentor puts it this way: no one can think your thoughts, and our thoughts move into our actions, of
Right.
course. So there are things that are required of you, of that's your
Mhm.
decision making, and no one's an island. Not one of us human beings are an island. We're meant to live in a community and
Yes.
support each other. So I think that's the one thing that most
Mhm.
people are missing,
I would
because you
totally
might
agree with
be
you.
inspired, motivated, but that dwindles, or that goes in and out. Like,
Mhm.
and so when you have structures of support, it's kind of like white lines on a highway toward your vision, toward your purpose.
Open road.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
that.
So
And
support,
it,
because we can all drift
it's
sometimes.
so true. It's to stay on the line. It's having car assist on your car.
Yeah,
Stay in the lane.
exactly.
That's a really
Exactly.
good point. One of my former supervisors, he used to tell me, this is back, and he's like, you live in your own island. He's like, we're here to support you, and
Mm.
that's really good advice that you just brought up. If anyone is looking to maybe get into your visit, your workshops, anything like that, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
So you can always email me,
Okay.
kevin@kevincarton.com. So it's my first name at first name, last name.com. Or as in my email, it says it's my website,
Okay.
kevincarton.com. Super simple. The Soul Purpose Blueprint is on my website, kevincarton.com. But I also have, actually, I just recently got the URL, thesoulpurposeblueprint.com. So you can
Ooh,
go
I
there for
love
that free
that.
gift. Yeah, you can go there for that free gift if you again want to
Yeah.
join that workshop, the 1 day event, which actually in the future I vision myself expanding that to 3 days. But so soulbuilderlive.com
Yeah.
will be always updated with the next time we'll have that event.
Yeah.
And then obviously, yeah, podcast if you're interested in hearing more
Yeah.
and just diving into some of the content me and my brother put out.
I love hearing from listeners that they're like, I listen to you when I drink my tea. So I'd imagine that a
Mm,
lot of your listeners, they, when they're doing their morning routine and they're looking for their inspiration, they're listening to science and spirituality. I think that's
yeah,
phenomenal.
definitely.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate you being for having me here. It was awesome.